The emotions are knocking on your door. You have to open the door and you have to say to it, I see you. Every emotion is trying to tell you something that you need right now in your life. It's so important to listen to it.
A trigger is something that has taken somebody back to an experience that they haven't fully processed yet.
In this context, thoughts are really the enemy in many ways of spirituality. There's an incompleteness to a spiritual experience if you don't follow it up with action.
And I said, okay, what part of you is asking to die? What part of you wants to die? It is begging you. It is symbolic to let it go.
Acting on emotions as guides to truth. Stillness. Surrendering to what is. Seeking. Using my gifts with purpose. Light. This is the emotional blueprint.
You have to be aware of you have to have some awareness. Like it talked about, like ChatGPT laid out. I feel so dumb saying that. The spirituality, a core element of spirituality is awareness. Okay, so being aware
Presence.
Yep. So being aware of what you're feeling, what I really encourage people to do is like, what are you feeling? Do your best to identify it. And then what is this emotion actually trying to tell you that you need right now? Now, you may be going to a yoga class and you may not have time to like reflect on it
That's the best handout, by the way, that you've made.
Cool. Yeah, you might not be able to no, thank you. You might not be able to have time to reflect on it, and that's okay. You have to open the door though. The emotions are knocking on your door. You have to open the door and you have to say to it, I see you.
Yes.
I don't have time right now though to like, I know you're trying to tell me something important.
Yes.
Every emotion is trying to tell you something that you need right now in your life. It's so important to listen to it. You open it. I don't have time to talk right now, but hey, like, let's chat at 7:00 tonight after my yoga class. And then like, and that's fine. It honors that and it respects
Agreed.
that. Now it can tell if you're lying. It can tell if you're just saying it to say it. Because it's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you have to talk to it so lovingly.
Yeah. I tell my students, like, treat your emotion how you would like a small child or like a dear friend. Like, I see you. I hear you. If you have the space, like, hear it out. Just kind of look at it and like, okay, I'm listening. And if you don't, like, you'll be like, I'm going to store you here in my shoulder and I'll be back, and then like tap upon it when you need it. Cool. Yeah. I'll have them think of a place in their body. So
if you're more, cause you're really connected to your body.
Yeah.
Well, I think way more than most people. You've helped me with that. You're like, Corey, you don't stretch after playing soccer. Like, what are you doing?
You're not connected to your body.
And you just play more soccer. Like, that's not the way to go. Anyways. But yeah, so I think women are more likely, from what I've seen, to be a lot more connected to somatics in their body. Guys are like,
well, because we grow babies.
Yeah.
I think it is. I wonder it's
gotta be, right? Just naturally, we're growing another human. We have to be in touch. Yeah.
So that's such a beautiful thing though, that you're saying, Elliot. Like, you can put it in your shoulder, put it in wherever you want.
Finger.
And yeah, as long as you circle back.
Yeah. Yeah. But a lot of my students, they have so much trauma or they're just like coming off of addiction. They're so out of touch with their body. They're like, I don't know what I'm feeling. I'm just like exploding. Like, because they have all these emotions that they're not addressing. And then they're just like, well, I'm going to numb it with alcohol, or I'm just going to be like, I can't even function. So I'm at a home that people can try and like help me. So yeah, I think the first step of like trying to get my students back into their body is muscle engagement. That usually people can notice that. So you engage the muscles in some way, and then you're just like, oh, my muscles are engaged. And then you start just like getting more connected to your body. And then you do something like in a stretch, like a really intense stretch. And then you might have to go like all the way in the stretch to like feel it. But then you're getting a tiny sense of like, this is why yoga is so good, because it's bringing them into their body. So after they're in their body physically and they're like, I'm feeling that stretch, I'm feeling that muscle engaged. oh, this kind of hurts. Okay, I'm going to back off a little because my teacher doesn't want it to hurt. We just want to find some sensation. Then they're going to start noticing. And I'll tell them, like, it might be like a flood. Like when you get back in your body, you're going to it's going to be harder at first. Like then the emotions are going to come, and then you're going to try and kind of sit with them and pinpoint them. And then you're going to use your breath that you learned in yoga and just kind of breathe through it. I don't remember why I got on that tangent.
I loved it.
Just trying to get back into your body when you're so disconnected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But let's talk about, no, you go ahead.
Well, just maybe a thought on that, and then you don't forget what you were going to say. So just a thought on that is generally speaking, even if you have a lot of awareness and of an emotion coming up for you, generally speaking, it's not necessarily recommended that you try to resolve it in that moment.
Yeah.
Why? Because this is like a deeper principle that applies to most everything in life. He that is slow to react is of great understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So you
respond.
You notice it. That's great. Most of us, when emotions come up, it does not happen at convenient times. And so it's so important to put it on the shelf and revisit it. But what you're saying, I think, is so powerful because like it's so unnatural for us to do this. But when we are feeling uncomfortable emotions and we're like, okay, I'm going to revisit this later. I promise. Anxiety, I'm going to revisit later. One of the best things that we can do is some kind of a physical like movement, a shake. Kimberly's into shakes.
Kimberly is so good at
but
the
like,
shake.
or go if you can, like go for a quick run if you're not too busy. Or
it's a tangible energy. You need to move it.
Yeah,
we talked about being stuck.
Motion.
It's so stuck.
Yeah.
The worst thing that you can do is to try to think hard about it. If you're overwhelmed or anxious, or if it's past a level 4 or 5, the worst thing you can do is to try to think about it in the moment.
I want to say you don't always know what its name is. You don't know what is this coming up in me. Like I feel it here, but you can still move it. Like move, tap it out. Yeah, I think Corey and I go to like still breathe with it, and Kimberly's like move, and you were like, oh yeah, you got to move too. Yeah. What were you saying?
So I was saying earlier, like you're talking about, okay, we get still, then we smell the poo, right? We're like, oh, I got to get out. Like, no, stay there, feel it. And then you say, get into your body, feel your body. But what about all the people who are terrified or scared or can't when they start getting into their body? The trauma comes out.
Mm-hmm.
They literally live their life outside of their body, kind of. And now we're telling them, go in, stop, stay, now go in there. So as a trauma therapist, sometimes feeling your body is traumatic, just that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you help people that the second they do these steps we're talking about, then they get there and then they fully panic?
I think control, giving them the control of like, you can leave your body whenever you want. Disassociation, I think, has a connotation of being something negative. And I think actually it can be helpful.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're talking about is like putting it on the shelf. It's a form of, I don't know if I'd use that term, but it's basically, it's what you're describing. Like, I'm going to put this away for now and come back to it. It's the same when we're really triggered.
Yeah. I think you could, I always invite students, at least just sit with it for a moment. Like, don't pretend it doesn't exist. Like, it just needs someone to see it for a second and shake it out or breathe for a second and then just be like, I'll be back, but I can't right now. And that's okay. And you have the control. I see that with my students is a big one is empowerment. Hey, you see something coming and you're not ready. You don't have to go there.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll say that all the time. Like, yeah, this is your practice. Like you can leave your mat at any time. You can leave the experience at any time. It's a practice. So as many times as you can come back, think of a stray dog. I have a lot of experience with dogs. I don't know if everybody else does, but you're not going to come full-fledged at it. It might bite you, it's going to hurt if you go so fast towards this dog that is scared. It's kind of the same with trauma. Like, don't full-fledged, like gentle approach to it.
Where were you years ago in my life?
I don't know. I'm so glad we found each other now.
What?
I know.
Well, yeah.
Like I'm kind of popping off, but that's me, squirrel. Psychedelics, I think they can have their place, but they can be traumatizing if it's like,
absolutely,
here's all your shit right here, like blah. that, I mean, you
Face
gotta
it, feel it,
yeah,
barf it,
yeah,
all of it.
Yeah.
So
I'm just
it's
like, yeah, maybe it has its place, but like with a really traumatized, easily triggered person, maybe not the moment. But yeah, so control, leave if you need to, and then movement. They need to continue the yoga practice. If I see my student has been stuck, I can kind of tell if a student has been triggered, and if they're moving, I'm like, okay, yeah. If they start to get stuck, that's when like you try as a yoga or trauma-informed yoga teacher to not intervene, let people have their experiences. But that's when like something needs to happen. If like they become stuck and they can't move anymore, and then they're just full-fledged like triggered. So give yourself space from it and move is my, I guess, suggestion. What
Awesome.
I've seen work.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about triggers for a second. How can somebody know when they're getting triggered versus just a regular emotion of like anxiety or something? How can somebody tell if they're getting triggered?
I think
Does
it's
anyone
very
wanna say?
intense. Yeah, this is a hard one.
Well, from my just scope of yoga, a trigger is something that has taken somebody back to an experience that they haven't fully processed yet. I guess we'll call it trauma. So you can know when you're triggered if you start to disassociate. Disassociate means like you're completely out of your body. You're in an experience maybe with other people and you can't hear them. The body will start to respond. There might be some sweating, some feeling sick to your stomach. A trigger is a reaction to a circumstance that feels bigger than a warranted or quote unquote normal reaction.
I think that's the key right there. What you just said
Right.
is maybe a one simple question you can ask yourself is like, am what I'm feeling, is that congruent to what's happening
Yes,
live?
that's exactly. Yeah.
If the answer is no,
then you're probably triggered.
Well, you are 100% triggered because if I have more and you're the only one that's going to know.
Yeah.
And so, you know what? I know I should only be feeling anxiety at like a level 3 right now, but I'm feeling it at a level 6.
Yeah.
Which is okay. But it means that that extra above the 3 is something from your past that is not resolved yet.
Yeah.
And so when a trigger comes up, if you can put it on the shelf and move a little bit, like Ellie's saying, great. Now, I think what's difficult, and we were talking about this a little bit, is what do I then do next? Well, you have to circle back to it. I don't recommend feeling it out until you have more emotional balance in your life. This is not a aggressive, I'm going to punch through this. I'm just going to go all in on it.
Dog's going to bite you.
It's not necessarily going to hurt you that much, but you're going to be frustrated that you're not making as much progress.
Yeah.
And so the key is any trigger, the three emotions that are the trigger emotions are like stronger anxiety, stronger shame, or anger. Those are like the 3 trigger emotions that if it's more intense than what's happening live, then you know that there's some pain down there. And guess what? That's all the trigger means.
Well, don't you think you can't? Oh, sorry. Keep going.
It doesn't mean, okay, so if I'm feeling a lot of shame, I'm sitting here right now and Kimberly says something to me and I have all this shame come up.
Happens all the time.
It's happened this morning. I'm just kidding. So now shame is a feeling like there's something wrong with me or that I am flawed. That's what it's going to feel like. But you have to, this is part of the spiritual practice. I have to step behind it and I have to say like, this is how it's feeling. It feels like there's something wrong with me, but I know it doesn't mean that. I know it means this is my body just telling me that there's some pain down there that I need to address.
It takes, practice.
And then I'm going to reflect on that later at 7:00. And
a lot of times, though, you don't know you're in it. You're in it a couple minutes.
It takes a lot of
me.
self-awareness.
Like I'm already on the train going
100%.
down and I'm like, oh, wait. I've already yelled at the kids. I've already slammed the door, right? I've already done all these things.
Bringing this up.
Crap. It's not an immediate, and I think the more aware we get, the more work we do, the quicker we catch our triggers.
100%.
Yeah,
because
I'm
it's a
so
state of
happy you brought that up.
dissociation.
Yep.
Like we're not in present moment.
You can go a whole day and be like,
Right.
where I was dissociated all day long. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. The same.
Professional.
But it's a good visual of that is it's like a light bulb. It's like one of those, what do you call them?
I don't know.
Dimmers?
The dimmer. Your awareness, your spirit is a dimmer. So it takes you 2 days to become aware that you're in this crazy cycle. That's fine. Guess what?
It's a little brighter.
You continue to like, okay, I'm going to catch this quicker next time. And then I'm going to reflect on it. Guess what?
Yeah.
You get to a point where you can actually become aware of the trigger in the very moment. And then that's when you have the power to be like, oh, the trigger doesn't go away if you're just super aware of it, but it gives you the ability to be like, this isn't going to ruin my day now. I see it. Okay, I got to breathe a little bit, move maybe a little bit. And then I'm going to check in at 7:00 and like reflect on what still is down there that I might need to work through. And if you're trying to be sincere and really genuine about it, there's an answer that always comes up to help you know what it is.
Yeah. I think we
And
should
reach
say
out
that
and
again.
seek for help.
Yeah.
Totally. It might
Like
come
when
through.
you're
It
in
might
that-
come through other people.
Usually, yeah, it's other people going, okay, we're here now. I got you. Like, because so many times when you're alone and you're just like, you have to seek someone else to help tether you because you're not in real time.
Totally.
Trauma has no telling of time. And so, yeah,
Yeah. It doesn't have any telling of time.
it's the worst.
But really glad both of you said those things because I think those are key. You can go days, hours without realizing you were triggered until you've screamed at everybody you love. And just when you notice that, even if it's days later, your light is getting the dimmer is getting brighter. Like it's practice. It could take years to get to a point where you're like, oh, I'm triggered.
Cool. Okay. So this emotional check-in there's a reason why people that are consistently anxious or having a lot of emotions consistently come up. There's a reason why it's hard for you to feel connected spiritually. It's okay. Starting with the emotional awareness and the emotional guide that we're going to be posting all over these show notes is you can start to,
I love that guide.
you can start to work at it. And
I love
yeah.
your side comments.
I love it so much.
Shut up with the side comments.
But yeah, so that's yeah. Okay, so now you don't have to be perfect. The spirit, your true self, recognizes the progression of like, okay, Corey's really putting an effort into the looking at his emotions and he's making some progress. That is enough to it's like the dirty laundry is out of there for a little bit. And you can have these beautiful windows where you then can experience the stillness, which is peace. And it's like, this is why people use drugs and addictions, is because it's a shortcut relief to the laundry and the stench. If I get high, but my life's kind of a mess emotionally, I get high, I have this, it's a counterfeit stillness is what it is. It's not real stillness. You're just numbing temporarily the emotions or whatever so that you can have some relief. I don't know. Yeah. I think
I just have a thought back to just the trigger situation. And then earlier in the conversation about nature. And so many times, do you mind if I just had to
I don't
go
care.
back?
Of course.
It's just like when you get triggered, when you bring in nature, that can just equalize it
Yeah.
so quickly.
So quickly.
Nature's
So
magic.
to me, we were talking about trauma has no time, or I'm having this feeling come up. Oh, I'll go get a drink or I'll smoke something to help it go out. Like move those aside. I always talk about go out and lay in the grass or turn on water and put water, in your hand or hold ice, or there's so many beautiful things. Just roll down the windows in your car and have cold air, just the air. Like nature really is this beautiful, beautiful gift to help in those moments of this discomfort that we're feeling in our body or we're feeling. So I just had to put that out there.
That is so, we're going to be talking deep nature in just a few minutes. But no, that's so beautiful. No, it's making more sense why when I was in my 20s, when I had this really stressful job, I would leave in Arizona, stressful job in Arizona. I would leave on my break and sit in the hottest car you can imagine. And it would just like melt away this stress. But you're
he was just creating a little sauna,
channeling your environment.
Right. Absolutely.
Channel your environment.
The channeling your environment to help you. Now, this isn't an avoidance technique. Nature's not going to support you in avoiding
No
stuff.
way. It brings you present in that
grounding.
moment.
The trees will choke you.
Yeah.
The trees will whip you. But it's not going to support that. So that's not going to work if you're mad avoidance. What will happen, actually, the energy of the emotion will go straight to your head. The energy will transfer from your body up into your head, and you will not be able to stop thinking. And it's like, even if you're in nature, the thoughts are gonna. Anyways, so you guys are providing some beautiful alternatives, not alternatives, just like great temporary, like grounding practices when I'm struggling, the movement and then nature is
Yeah, sorry. I know you had already moved on, but I was like, but wait.
No, it's so important.
No, I'm glad it ties it in.
My environment can actually help me to feel
To self-regulate.
calm.
Yeah, it's a gift. It's a beautiful thing.
It is. Nature's the best.
It is the best.
And you gotta find like sometimes I'm learning that I've learned this a lot from you guys, that there's aspects of nature that we just feel so much more connected to, maybe at certain times for certain reasons. You just trust it and it's awesome. Like I personally hate grass. I'm just kidding.
I wish we were doing this in the grass right now. I want the Oprah Winfrey set.
Grass is amazing.
It's the best.
Okay, so emotions, I think that's good for now. This podcast is called The Emotional Blueprint for a reason. We'll be diving into way more details on emotional stuff. Okay, so then the stillness. We had a big podcast on what that means. I think it was our second one of really watered down version of what it means is I'm getting away from thinking and I'm getting into, maybe a very simple way to put it is I'm not thinking. I'm where I'm at, paying attention to my senses, but the importance of not thinking.
Yeah. Thinking to sensing.
Yeah. We were talking about the snake last time, the Ouroboros of the symbol of time, and how Satan or the snake, it uses time to get its thoughts, bring us out of the present. If you were to take 5 minutes and you were to write down every single thought that comes into your mind, what you would notice is that every single thought would either have to do with the past or the future. Trying to bring you out of what is right now. Okay, so when we're talking, when we're talking about spirituality, thoughts are the enemy. In this context, thoughts are really the enemy in many ways of spirituality, unless we are intentionally using it.
Yeah.
We, our spirit, the visual, if we're intentionally using it, it's beautiful. But if we're just drifting, it's the enemy of stillness and peace and spiritual connection.
Which is hard because I get stuck thinking, oh, I'm being still and I want to receive. So it's almost like when I think I'm being still, my energy goes up, which goes to my mind. And then I get stuck in my mind and then my thoughts, and I get stuck in this thoughts. I'm like, no, I'm supposed to go back here and stay here in my body, stay here in my heart. And I get so stuck in my head thinking the answer is going to come through a thought, and it doesn't. It comes like you, do you know what I'm saying?
100%.
And then I'm 20 minutes in my meditation of just looping and thinking. And
well, it's interesting is that it's a thought that started that in the first place. A thought comes into your mind that says, hey, something really important is going to come through thoughts right now for you. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm ready for it.
Right,
and then the thought is like, you suck.
Right.
Or maybe not that aggressive, but
you haven't met my bully. That's actually really nice.
I just can't believe the great deception of thoughts. It is tailored to you specifically. And it is a lifelong practice to recognize thoughts are going to take me out of anything meaningful in my life, unless I'm creating those
Wow, this
myself.
is gold.
Unless I'm creating those myself.
But
Okay.
how do you know if you, like, I can't go there. How do you know if it's you?
I'll tell you right now.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes,
Kimberly,
everybody
I
listen.
want you to think of a white elephant.
right now?
Yep. Imagine it in your mind.
I'm going to try it.
I have a bad imagination.
Okay, I see it.
Okay.
She's there.
I'm like, in there.
Okay. I'm drinking this beverage down here. I want you to just think in your mind, like, what is in Corey's drink? It looks weird.
It does look weird.
It's just yerba mate, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
But you, okay.
And
So
Chipotle.
are you thinking those thoughts?
Of the drink?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you creating those?
No.
You are.
No, I'm not. You
Well-
are.
Well, I can put them out
He doesn't
there.
know what your thought looks like, though.
I guess the point is, if I have you imagine a white elephant right now, you could imagine that.
Okay.
You are creating that thought. Because why? Because you're intentional. The importance of, so I kind of was too quick to answer your question. I needed to wait for you to explain more. A quick thought on it is just this, is how do I know if these are my thoughts or if these are coming from the snake or Satan or not a good place? Am I intentional at producing these? If I'm sitting down tonight and I'm trying to plan out my next day, I am being intentional with creating my day tomorrow and planning a couple things out. That's not coming from a random place. So we want to make sure when we're letting our mind just drift, we're driving. A good example is like when we're in the shower or we're driving in the car and we're like in the shower and we're kind of like just showering. Our mind is usually, most people's minds is like just drifting. Like, and it's the craziest stuff. It's thinking about like, why is a quarter bigger than a dime? And your wife doesn't love you anymore. And it's the craziest stuff. No, we're not. No, it is.
Intrusive thoughts at their finest.
Okay.
That is, I love what Ellie, intrusive.
Oh, for sure. Good.
You're
the worst.
You're into somatics and sensing where stuff is coming from. These thoughts come from outside in. They come outside directly into your brain. When the thought is coming from God or your own spirit, it comes from within. It comes from your spirit up.
Oh, okay. Bottom up processing.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember if I've ever felt one of those come from
Bottom
my body
up?
to my head.
You just did.
Oh,
Just now.
you just saw it.
I just did it.
It just happened. I'm kind of kidding, but
No.
I'm dead serious.
No, you said that, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I can trace that.
Look in a mirror when you do it because your brow gets inquisitive. That is coming from your spirit. That's it.
I do
The
that.
inquisitive brow.
Look at her face.
do that.
You're focused.
Yeah.
And
And when I have intrusive thoughts, my brow does not do this.
Mine goes like this.
What was that? That was crazy. That's such gold. Nobody I know knows that. They would have taught me already. Nobody
Knows. Corey's dropping bombs.
that actually came from you. I channeled you on that one. I kind of cut you off though. What were you going to say?
No, you didn't.
I did. I wasn't following my own
Wow.
advice of being slow to react.
I don't remember.
Okay.
No, I loved all of that.
So stillness, it's not a guarantee you get there. It's this
Brings truth.
great practice of the emotional check-in is key. And that is connected to thoughts because we know that many thoughts that make it through that we're not aware of, they do end up causing anxiety or shame. And so if we're addressing emotions, a lot of times that's us addressing thoughts. They overlap a lot, obviously. But the practice of stillness is I am intentionally not going to think. And we were talking about this. It doesn't have to just be sitting on a couch. It can be going on a walk. It can be being in nature. Any practice will work as long as you're not thinking. That's a practice of stillness.
Are you ever not thinking? I don't know if I'm ever not thinking.
Yeah.
Wait, and it's something like if you feel the thought in your body, then it's like coming from like bottom up processing, like your heart, your soul, your higher power. And then if you don't, then it's intrusive. Is that a good like decipher? not good, bad, right, or wrong, or like a
Okay, so the greatest addiction that all of us have is the addiction to thinking. It's the greatest addiction.
yeah. I don't know if I'm ever not.
I am 100% an overthinker
I think in
addict.
Conversation,
100%.
I can usually turn it off.
You both in this. So some people. Okay, so you both are like this, which is really cool, and I'm like, we're all like this. Where is it easier
like
for
this?
you to? Is it easier for you to be still when you're talking with someone, or is it easier for you to be still alone?
Alone.
Okay.
You're probably
Talking
with people.
to someone.
Yeah, because that's your gift. That's your gift too.
It's so much easier for me when I'm talking with someone to be a lot more present, because I've learned that this truth has really had an impact on my life. And the truth is that when you are talking with someone, there is no thought that is going to come up while they're talking that is ever going to be more important than you listening to what they're saying.
Yeah, true.
You're honoring the spirit of a human being, which always trumps any thought.
Yeah.
Now, as I'm talking right now, or Kimberly, if you were to start talking, am I having thoughts pop up while you're talking? Yeah. But it's this continual practice of like, I'm putting them on the shelf. I'm refocusing. It's a refocus.
You just blew my mind.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad I asked, because I was like,
mind.
And then, so it's a constant refocus. And then the truth is that whatever comes up when they're done speaking is from God or your own spirit. It's what you're meant to say. So you need to, it's the being slow to react is of greater standing. I love
that you just said that.
So when you're done speaking, Kimberly, whatever comes up for me, it's not going to be rushed. It's never rushed. Whatever comes up for me is exactly what I'm supposed to say to you in that moment.
But Corey, that's your gift. Most people do not function like that.
I think everybody has that in them.
You too, or this is not normal.
Girl,
no, I think everybody has this.
No, seriously. This is, it's honestly more of it's a skill that can turn into a gift, but it's a skill that everyone, it's just, you practice it.
You can learn it. Yeah. But I love that whole idea.
God gives it to everybody.
Because if I'm stuck with my own self, sorry, what were you saying?
I was just saying, or higher power. Sorry, because I said God and not everybody believes in God.
So what I'm hearing you saying is when you're in the presence of someone else and you are listening to them and witnessing them, and these thoughts are coming into your mind and you're like, there's nothing more sacred than being here for them, holding space for them. You can do that for yourself. So when you are with yourself and you have all these thoughts, right? You can be like, hey, I'm sitting with me, just a minute. It's like the same
100%
cute
thing, right?
Yes. And if you really like, I think this is a gift you have, by the way, but if you, as an individual, if you could really see the soul of a human being, if you could really see it, I don't think I can, but I think I've had glimpses. It would become so obvious to you. Like, I'm talking to this great source of light. I'm talking to this part of somebody that has been around for a long time and is full of wisdom and light. Like, I need to listen. And it goes back to this humility of like, even if someone has messy hair and somebody is like a hobo and they start talking to me, this is what the Bible, I love the scripture in the Bible. It says, man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh at the heart. So if we could really see who we're actually talking to, any human, it would become so obvious to us of like, of course, like these thoughts are not going to be more important than me listening. And what I've had to learn as a therapist is that I've been really grateful because I've had a lot, if people are paying money to come see me, there's a lot of, I take this really seriously. It's my job to be as present as possible. And guess what? When we are trusting that something, if whatever I'm supposed to say is going to emerge right when they're done speaking, if we're really trusting that, guess what? A lot of times nothing comes up. And guess what? What does that mean? You're not supposed to say anything. And when people don't like that.
No, they
because
just need to be witnessed.
the people that don't like that and this is fine, there's no judgment here, but people that don't like that response of sometimes nothing and just like a stillness response are the ones that are sharing whatever they're sharing it from a place of intellect. And so they want you to connect with them from thoughts and from the surface and not from a place of stillness.
I just blew my mind.
But we don't.
This is what I've been working on in therapy, and this has been way better than any of my sessions.
Welcome to Wednesday Night Therapy with Corey
Thank you.
with video cameras and microphones.
So we don't want to do that, right? If we're really trying to have a spiritual connection with someone. So this goes, how do I spiritually connect with my spouse? How do I spiritually connect with my friend? How do I develop a deeper connection? You don't think. You don't think when they're speaking. You are really listening. You're going to have many thoughts come up. That's fine. You put them on the shelf and you wait. And guess what? Nothing might come up. And that is beautiful. If they don't like it, they're just projecting themselves onto you. And that's fine too. There's no problem.
Yeah.
This practice of being still alone is both of these practices. Most people I've seen they definitely lean towards one or the other. The goal of this spiritual development is to have them bleed over into both, into my relationships, but also when I'm alone. And it's really interesting for me personally because so part of my spiritual journey is I went on a mission. And for those who don't know what it was like a volunteer 2 years where I literally walked around and just talked to people about God, stopped people in the street. And I knew in the moment, I'm like, this is so weird. But it was great. What it taught me is like nothing that I have to share is ever going to be more important than listening to what someone else is saying. And it that burned in me. I still had a long way to go, but my point of sharing all this so my go-to is with people. I learn, and this is why I've learned so much from people is because I've really tried to take this seriously. And it's a lifelong practice. But then I've been loving what's been happening lately for me, which is that's been bleeding more over into my personal life. So it's Friday night. I actually don't want to hang out with anyone. I want to go into the mountains alone and be in the dark with the tree. It's just a balance.
Yeah.
So it's okay if you lean towards one or the other. Get really good at that. If you get really good at being still alone, guess what's going to come from that place of stillness? It's going to tell you should go hang out with people on Friday night. You should, you should. There's a beautiful balance to it. Spirituality is it's once you gain momentum with it, it's meant to, like we were talking about, it's meant to benefit other people. I'm talking too much.
No, you are not. No, you are not. Those are beautiful. I'm stuck in the isolation, the alone. And recently, coming out of my almost 1 year hibernation, I am getting that little tap. Like it's time to now go out.
Play.
You do get this, you do shift. There is a tangible shift that when you're out with people, you kind of start feeling like I need to go inside. And if you can really be in tune and really trust it, it's the secret sauce right there.
That's fulfillment. That's a big part of what fulfillment is.
Right.
Yeah. So again, where does this all start from? It all starts from starting to be aware of what you're feeling and putting things on the shelf. That's where this all starts for people. And then you eventually want it to go into stillness. So those are the first two steps of a spiritual practice. Then we're going to talk about the third one. Okay, let's bundle up this full practice. So if we're putting this into a 30-minute practice, something that I might recommend is, okay, for the step one, emotional check-in. What am I feeling? What does it mean? Revisiting what we need to. Step two, stillness. So the laundry, ideally, eventually the laundry's cleaned out, and then stillness. And even just a few minutes, even just like 2 minutes of I'm just not going to think for at least 2 minutes as a starting point. I'm just going to be outside in the grass and then after that, the third step is seeking. So emotional check-in, stillness, and then seeking something. And we're going to talk about a different form of seeking that is really powerful, but that's not used enough. But some obvious seeking might be like prayer for some people, study, reading something. Those are some maybe ones that are talked about a lot more.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about seek nature. As what's cool about nature is not only a practice of stillness, it can be a practice of stillness like we've talked about, but it's also a great place to seek.
It's the best place to seek.
It's the best place.
It's the bestest.
My favorite.
It's unfiltered. It's just like this direct line. It just makes it so much easier for me.
Let's dive into this. So what I've been learning, I want to share of what, actually, I want to ask you guys first. Let's kind of do a little roundtable of maybe this one or two questions.
Okay.
What has been impactful for you personally? What has it done for you?
Comfort. I would say comfort and my guide. When you're alone, you don't have a spouse or you don't have anyone in that moment. To me, nature's always someone that is there, ready, waiting, open arms. You don't have to call. You don't have to make an appointment. You just go out in that beautiful grass that you love and you lay down and you it's free. Like it's
free therapy.
It's free. And to me, when you say nature, I think Mother Earth, right? So I think it's a very feminine, loving, nurturing presence that is literally sitting there with open arms.
I'm going to come to you, Ellie, in just a second. I want to say something about that because for me, maybe there's some people that are like me. It's really helpful for me to understand why it's so nurturing or like why it's so comforting or like why it's so peaceful. And what I believe is true and that if you spend time in nature, I believe you can feel really connected to is these aren't just like objects. It's not, the earth isn't just a rock and the tree isn't just a tree. The earth actually is a mom. It is mother. It has a soul, just like we have a spirit inside of our body. Nature has a spirit inside of the earth. Everything meaningful is created spiritually before it manifests itself physically. Okay, so the earth and whatever, this part isn't maybe as important, but the earth was created spiritually before it manifested itself physically. So it was, the origin of it is a spiritual form first, and then it's shining in its beauty as a physical manifestation of what the spirit is, which is, look how beautiful the earth is. The spirit of that is incredibly beautiful. So the same with trees. Trees have a soul inside of them. And so for me, it's just like knowing that there's something behind it. And the cool thing is like, why is nature sometimes better to spend time with than people? Well, because people aren't as pure, and that's fine. People have their stuff and that's fine. But nature is very sensitive, as I've learned the last few months. It's very sensitive and it's so pure. And so it makes it consistent, makes it very reliable. It's an amazing, reliable source.
I love that you say that because we talked last episode about, my faith crisis or stepping away from what I always thought and believed that I would go to for comfort, right? Because I would reach out, I would pray, and it would just be nothing there, right? And so I had to find something else. And so I love how you talked about that. Like I was able to go, okay, if I can't trust men or this or that or my higher power anymore, what can I trust? I was like, oh, wait a minute. I can trust nature.
Yep.
Guess what? I know that sun is going to come up tomorrow and I know that sun's going to set. Like it was something when my world was so bleak and I couldn't trust anything, I had to develop my relationship with nature because I felt like there was nothing there.
Yeah.
So it was just a different part of my path. And you talk about, the trees, they have a consciousness. The grass, there's a consciousness there. The water, it holds all the information. Like it's been around forever. The ice, it is just such a beautiful thing you can tap into. I love it. 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 I love it.
But it's always there for you if you feel like God is not.
Right.
I think that's a powerful
Yeah, I can trust
message.
it.
Yes.
That sun is not going to not come up tomorrow.
Yep.
So when you are in your darkest place, and that dark night is all night long, I know I can go to bed and trust that tomorrow there will be sun.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't feel like there's light anywhere else.
Yep.
And if that's all I can hold on to, that got me through some pretty hard times. It's symbolic.
And it's not only symbolic, it's actually very real. The symbolism of it is powerful, but just for example, like the sun is light. Okay, what is light? Well, light is truth. Okay, so I believe that, the benefits of because there's actually healing benefits that come from the sun in cellular and in many ways. And then it improves our mood and it's comforting, the heat of that. And so I love the Christian canon of like, I am the light of the world and I shineth in every good thing. It's not just a symbol. Yes, it is, but it's actually there's spiritual light and physical light is the same thing. It's all light. It's all some light we don't see. But I think that's Ellie, I definitely want to get your thoughts. But
this is great.
What's cool about what's been really helpful for me in knowing what's behind just having I'm a newbie at this, by the way, but just knowing what's behind the tree, like, oh, it actually has a soul. And I can't wait to talk more about water tonight. Sounds so weird, but
Let's talk about water.
But just knowing that the earth has a soul and a spirit in there, and it's and it can speak to you. And same with the tree, the spirit of a tree and the earth, it's actual intelligence. It has a conscious, just like our own spirit. We talk about like listening to our spirit and that's who we are. Guess what? I don't know if it's the same degree as us, for example, as a tree, but there's intelligence and light in that tree. And so that's why information and messages, God can speak through the tree. God can speak through a blade of grass. Anything that's alive, that's not man-made, even some things that are man-made, has an intelligence, a light to it. It can speak to you. It's actually real. It's not just some weird, you know it's real when you experience it. And until you experience it, it just sounds like kind of weird. And this is coming from me, who's like ultra traditional, like not my best friend in high school was a hippie, but I was like, anyways, I think
it has a frequency. And when you tap into that frequency, it opens up and you're like, wow. And sometimes it's just for a moment. And sometimes it's for an afternoon, but it goes back to getting yourself into a place. It doesn't just come naturally. You got to do a little bit of work.
For sure. Let's talk about that. Ellie, just jump in anytime. Let's talk about that. So getting to some kind of a practical application for people, because we're talking maybe more not practical, is what's something practical that how can somebody seek in nature?
Take off your shoes.
Oh,
take your shoes off.
Yes.
Take off your shoes.
Put your hand
literally
on stuff.
Connect. Put your hands in the dirt.
In the water.
Get in the water. Lay full down on the grass. Don't lay on a blanket. Literally lay in the grass. And this took a while because I have like sensory stuff like grass is itchy and Oh no. Full lay. Full lay. And
so take off the man-made
right. It's a literal
stuff, the plastic.
block.
Yeah, it's blocking
you.
the energy.
So let's clear the blockages. Right now, you guys, we all have our shoes off.
Well, so
Except Dane.
Oh, not
Dane,
him.
take your shoes off.
so what's important about that is that you are, I love what you said, just like removing the barrier, but in the Bible, it reminds me of the story of Moses, where Moses is tending his sheep, and then he feels prompted to go into this private area, or cave maybe, or something. I think it was a cave. And then the first thing that God tells him is, take your shoes off.
Wait, really?
Really? I know what?
Take your
What's that scripture?
take your sandals
I'll
off.
print
I
that
don't know
one.
For you-
anything about scriptures.
for you-
But I'm like, really where?
remove the sandals from your feet, because
Really?
where you're standing right now is holy ground.
Really?
That's beautiful.
That is really special.
So it's not just about removing the barrier. It is a intentional act of submission
You're
and,
holy.
and connection. And so
Oh,
I never thought of it like that. Holy crap. That was my takeaway tonight. Thank you, Corey.
Mm.
Wow.
So it's a small act of, it's a symbol, and it's a small act of like, I'm wanting to connect, and I'm here, and I'm taking my shoes off.
Mine's always
So
out of
sweet.
desperation. So now to shift that to an honoring I'm really excited for that. Mine's always like, I get home from work, take off my shoes, go in the grass. It's like this, I've got to get a drink of water, right? It's like this, now I love that visual of this kind of its offering. Like, I am here. I am listening. I'm here to receive. I'm here to give. I love that.
That's what it is. I'm here to receive. That's beautiful. And, a more direct practical application that I do, I'm going to be taking my shoes off more. That's just cool, is just kind of, this helps me be more present and still in nature. Is I have an intention before I go into nature. I have an intention. What is my intention? I plan it a little bit beforehand.
Mm.
It's 1 or 2 questions. And the question, if you don't know what questions to ask, a good place to start is like, God or nature, what can you teach me about what I need in my life right now? I'm going to be still. I'm going to do my best. If thoughts come up, Satan, evil tries to distract me from being here, I'm going to refocus, and I'm going to pay attention, and I'm going to be looking for answers from the water, from the trees, from the grass. And
birds.
just trust. Yeah. Birds, animal, trust. So the key is, we were talking about this the other day. You have to be still. How do I know if a thought is coming from just a random place, or if it's actually coming from the place of truth and stillness? You're still, and just trust what comes up for you when you're committed to be there. There's going to be thoughts and feelings come up. That is your question getting answered. That is, what do I need to improve in my life right now? What's what do I need to do in my marriage? It's not going very well. I need to figure something out. Well, yeah, you can ask any question if you, especially if you don't feel like God is there for you. Nature's a great spot. So combining those, I think, would be powerful for people. Having an intention before you go out, but having some kind of acts, rituals. I love develop some rituals in nature. This is how nature operates. It listens to the seasons. It has a natural ebb and flow because it's responding to what is going on. It's not resisting. That's the beautiful part about nature. It's an example of not resisting emotion, not resisting what is. A rock doesn't swim against the current. If the current is strong enough, it rolls with it. So there's so many bedrock principles of wisdom out there with nature, for sure.
I have a beautiful friend of mine that anytime we go on a hike, at the very, very beginning of the hike, she'll just look around. She'll pick up a stick, a rock, just a couple of random things. And before we kind of get going, she's like, just give me a second. And she'll make this little teeny or big nature mandala. And she will say out loud, she's like, this is my offering today for this. I am leaving this beautiful thing as a thank you for being in this beautiful place. Right?
I'm
She
taking that.
leaves an offering and she will check in and just go, I'm here. If there's a message for me, I am listening. I am here. I mean, think about the ancient practices of, like you said, the ritual and the offering. She is one of my greatest guides. And everywhere we go, she makes little mandalas. You know where she's been. And it's out of sticks. It's absolutely. So try that next time you're in
Beautiful.
nature.
That's beautiful. And a lot of this is one of the reasons why I feel blessed to live in America. And if you don't live in America, that's fine. But one of the powers of this land is the history that came before us and like the Native American spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Their religion was all answers come from nature.
Yeah.
Nature will give me what I need.
Yeah.
And so it's the power of this. It's the great gift of this land in that context. And so tapping into that is beautiful. And one thing I'll say on that is that the trees and the rocks and the earth and the water, they hold the history. They are a witness of everything that they've experienced and they hold it within themselves. So I feel the spirit of Native America. This is how people feel certain vibes or energy, and like, oh, this is a special place, or like, oh, the nature's just like not as vibrant, or like it's still great.
Something bad happened here.
No, exactly.
Like something's not right over here. Yeah, you can sense it.
And that's how sensitive nature is. How sad is that though? That I've witnessed this thing, or these people that are maybe selfish or vain, or I've witnessed a husband yelling at his wife on this path and the tree, and it holds on to that. It can't. I don't know if it necessarily can let that go, but it stores it. So I definitely think there's some cool specific insights with a tree and with water and the earth and moon that we should talk for a second about, because I think when people hear this, some of these details that we've individually felt connected to, it can really help. It's like knowing the person behind it's like knowing what's behind it. I think can be, for me, that has been a really great entry point to feel more connected to nature, is like starting, like you guys have been a beautiful example of that to me, just some of the little things that you shared. And when I'm seeing water or when I see the moon, it's like, it has a deeper meaning for me just because I've heard you guys share some things that you've learned from it. So I think we need to open that offering up a little bit for people. So I think we should do that. But Ellie, did you want to say anything before we talk about trees, water, earth, moon?
Trees. Thoughts were popping up, but they're not here now. So
okay. Cool. Kimberly, what should we talk about first?
The moon.
Okay. Will you
so cute.
Will you teach us what you've learned about the moon?
Well, she
is a she.
She is a she.
Okay, so first
Feminine
things
energy.
first.
First things first.
So
the moon is a feminine.
Share that
moon.
beautiful scripture you found.
I don't know if I can find it because I don't have my phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I texted
You texted it to me.
I texted it to you and Kimberly, Dane. If you want to look it up on your phone.
So I didn't learn this through scriptures. Corey found this. And to me, I was studying more ancient teachings, right? When I was not trusting anything and was like, all right, well, I can trust the sun and the moon because they come up. The moon's a little finicky though. She's kind of like, I'll come up when I want, which is perfect because she's so feminine.
Love that for her.
Woman.
Right? She's like, I'm going to shine tonight. I'm going to just bounce here and here. I'm going to show up here.
I'm going to hide behind the clouds.
Right. But the sun is the masculine energy. The sun is the doing. The sun is the bright. The sun is, there's so many other people that could explain this so much better. And I wish I would have prepared a little bit better. I'll come back with more things, but go ahead.
But just that is, I think,
just that masculine and feminine.
The sun is a masculine soul or spirit, and the moon is a feminine
because
soul.
the sun is doing, so it's shining, and the moon lights up from the reflection of the sun. The moon is just receiving.
That's really powerful. And so that is,
Wow.
yeah, that's cool.
It's the yin to the yang.
The sun
Which is, oh, I was just going to say, I feel like as women, we're encouraged to give, be givers. But then our like feminine moon is a receiver from the masculine. Interesting.
And women are so cyclic, right? And the moon is on this cycle,
Oh, interesting.
right?
I
Yes.
swear. Well, I've heard this. Like I swear, I only have my periods on full moons.
Right. Right.
I've heard this. I'm like,
But everybody
real.
thinks
I'm
that
like, that
there's
sounds crazy,
just
but
like,
it's just making more sense. There's
yeah, women have more than
Women
just
are
like
very cyclic.
yeah,
And
we have like 4 cycles a month, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes through 4 weeks. That's a whole nother thing.
well, so does the moon.
exactly. Exactly.
It's
Wow.
We
Yeah.
have 4 cycles. The moon has 4 cycles.
it's perfect. It's so perfectly designed in symbolism. And to me, if you think about it,
Wow, that's crazy, huh?
like back in hunter gatherer, like the sun would be out and the men would go out and hunt and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then the men would come in rest and the women would come up at night and they would do more of their spiritual practice and their nurturing and they would guide by the moonlight. Yeah, there's just so much there. And so to me, I don't know. I've just had a lot of beautiful healing. And there's such different emotions that come in the light of the sun and then when you're sitting in the dark with the moon. So you can feel and you can tap into different energies in those different situations. Go out and do your nature and sit by a tree in the sun. Spend your Saturday, go home, go back out and sit at night under a full moon. Completely different. There's different messages you will learn and
100%.
right?
I believe you. I'm gonna try it. And then
You should. It's a little scary at night,
I'll report back.
but it's a completely different energy.
That's my homework for this week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that.
I better get a picture of you under the moon one night. Well, the full moon just happened, so you might have to wait.
I think. Well, whatever. I don't.
You're not scared,
It
okay.
doesn't have to be full.
No.
For me at this point. Okay, so just a thought on the moon that I think is powerful is that the moon, the symbolism of the moon, is it's the only way that I can see in the dark. Any of us that are spiritually progressing and are trying to get to a place of stillness, you have to be able to see in the dark. That is the natural it's like that's what we were talking about with emotions. It's like I have these dark or these difficult emotions or this pain that's coming up. Seeing in the dark. It's the awareness. It's the revisiting it. It's basically what we've been talking about today. But then the balance out with the sun is the doing. It is the action to some degree. So I have to, not only do I put it where it needs to be and see what's going on, but I have to do something about it. So it reminds me of like what we're talking about. All of our spirits are made up of both masculine and feminine energy. Both are critical in the healing journey and in the journey to find the journey to heal or the journey to find purpose or the journey to feel more confident. However you want to spin it, you have to cultivate both the masculine energy within and the feminine. Okay, what does that even mean? Well, the feminine, let's talk about the feminine is the feeling and the spirit and the guide.
The compassion, the nurturing, the softness.
And what's often overlooked is the masculine. It's easy to see the feminine in the healing journey or, because we have to face emotions and feel and that stuff. And that's beautiful. But the masculine is so important too, because the masculine is how do I translate this into a practical application? So that's where people get so lost in spirituality and emotions. They talk about it from such a feminine perspective, which is so important. It's probably more important, I'd say. But nothing changes. And I wouldn't say nothing, but not much changes unless there's that masculine, that action, that practical application is so important. They're both equally important, probably.
The vision I'm seeing is you've got the moon over here with all the feelings, right? And that's when you have to step in and you have to feel it. But then the sun is the integration and actually making and doing and changing. So I feel horrible when I yell at my children. Okay, I'm going to sit in my guilt. I'm going to sit in my this. I'm going to feel all it. I'm going to ask for forgiveness. But then I've got to step into that doing action to actually make the change. So to me, it's like brain, the limbic system, the moon, the prefrontal cortex, the sun. We've got to feel it. We've got to, it's just this beautiful symbiotic thing that we cannot have one without the other. We can't be this doer without pausing and stopping and feeling.
Don't get lost in doing.
Yeah.
But don't get lost in feeling and not taking any action either. It's like,
that's depression, when you're just stuck and you're feeling and feeling and feeling and feeling, and you cannot get up and get going to make the change.
100%.
And you're in the dark, right?
Yep.
And it's everywhere. If we could break this down, and so many times when you're just in that dark, just like open a window, open a door, let that light in. It's a gift.
What Kimberly said is like all the growing, like the plants grow and stuff in the sunlight. And
oh yeah.
Then like there's like plants and animals that like close off and rest in the moonlight. And it's just interesting.
Well, what we're talking about reminds me of you actually. When we were driving in the car, you were talking about something that you were struggling with in your life. And you were doing such a beautiful job of like, I feel this way. The feeling, you were clearly communicating your feelings, and it was like, it was so beautiful. It was just coming out. It was emotional, and it was all the feminine. But then you got to this beautiful point where you're like, I don't know what to do. And then I think we gave you some feedback of like, you need to, we gave you the missing piece of it, which is the more of the masculine. It's like, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh my gosh. So there's, I wouldn't say hollowness, but there's an incompleteness to reflection, or people have these amazing spiritual experiences. There's an incompleteness to a spiritual experience if you don't follow it up with action.
No, you have to integrate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're missing a giant piece if you do not integrate it. It's just the integration is the masculine for sure.
And we can learn all this from looking at the moon.
Right?
And nature.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful because nature's meant to create new insights, I believe, if you're open to that. But it's also meant to confirm truths that you already have learned in your life and know. And nature is a way to avoid future suffering. If you're learning and paying attention to nature, there's these truths that you can learn that life is not going to require you to learn through pain. So it's the same as like if talking to a friend and the friend's like, hey, this is what I've learned from this experience. You're like, oh my gosh, like I'm not going to forget that. And I'm going to like integrate that into my life. It's like, you might have just been saved yourself some future suffering where you didn't have to learn it on your own. So nature's a great relationship, a great friend that can help us.
Yes.
So, okay.
I want
Go
to
ahead,
clarify because people I know of are coming to my mind of like, well, I'm in nature and I'm agnostic or I'm atheist. And I think I want to clarify being in nature and like snowboarding or rock climbing or mountain biking, that's one thing. And yes, you can appreciate nature, but I want to clarify, like, I feel like the most spiritual practice about like what we're talking about with nature is being with it, not being in it. Like trying to, like we said, take off your shoes, like touch your hands in it, like being with it and not just going through it.
Well, like the seeking.
That's the seeking.
The seeking. When you're rock climbing, that's great.
Yeah.
You're not, your intention and your focus is, I gotta pay attention where I'm climbing so I don't fall and die.
But you're not the seeking to connect spiritually as much. Maybe you are.
This is like my
But that has to be the intention, like you were talking about. There has to be an intention.
Yep. This is the most beautiful revelation to me in the last 3 months, I think, has been the importance of incorporating Eastern spirituality and Western spirituality. Of like Eastern Buddhism spirituality, as an example, is all about stillness. So important. Western spirituality, Christianity, very focused on
service.
Seek and ye shall find. And service is important
Doing,
too.
for sure.
Seek and ye shall find. Just combine. We're talking
prayers?
about.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, checklist.
We're talking about combining those though.
Yeah.
Seeking from a place of stillness
I think
is
there has to.
pure. It's just amazing.
You know
You
what we're
have to
doing,
combine.
guys?
Well, we're combining lots of things. And then we're combining like Native American practices of like connecting with nature. You just have to be able to find the truth and be open to where it's coming.
100%.
What were you saying?
We're going to take a minute, the three of us, Midway, and we're going to go outside and spend 30 minutes together in nature.
Oh, so you're coming. Great.
Maybe just for this.
We're
gonna
going
do-
to Midway?
For the retreat.
Oh,
Gathering.
yeah. No, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm calling that right now. 30 minutes.
I'm
Us
really excited for that.
in nature.
So let's talk
gonna
about
happen.
trees for a second and then water. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
let's do it.
I'm
Let's
just
do it,
excited. I'm
100%.
already there. I'm
Okay.
like right there energetically in nature with you guys. Magic's happening. Done.
Trees.
Trees and water.
Trees.
Trees and water. Trees are my favorite.
Trees are more of, I will find a tree that gives me feminine energy, but most of trees I find are giving me masculine energy.
Really?
What do you guys think?
I don't know. I don't have any personal.
I've never really asked like,
No,
what
like
is your
like gender.
I don't know if I've ever asked, but I'm just like bopping
just sense
around.
it, yeah.
And I'm just like
I
masculine energy. They have intelligences. They were other things in other lives. I don't know if always trees.
I totally believe that and agree
Yeah.
with that. Yeah, yeah. We'll have to. I think you're spot on though. If it's helpful for you to know, or then you can know. So
this goes back
I don't
to
think
the
it's helpful. We were just
imagination.
talking about energies, and so I was like,
well, I think it is. I think it can be helpful for some people to know, like, or like you said, picking
Maybe.
up on the energy of it and just kind of connecting with it. It's good to know
yeah,
what's behind it, like what we've been talking about.
maybe trees.
I have you guys are in a strong infatuation with trees for so many reasons. And you were going to say something.
I wasn't.
Are you sure?
I was going to ask Dane to Google, are trees have a masculine or feminine energy?
Yeah, Dane, can you Google that?
That's what I want to know. Because if I would think, well, I want to just see.
What would you think?
ChatGPT knows. ChatGPT spends a lot of time with trees.
I just want to know if they're both or if it's like,
I think Ellie's spot on.
Well,
I do-
maybe
I do.
different kinds of trees are different energies, but most of the trees I come in
all the
contact
pines
with
are
give me masculine.
I think it's like humans.
Exactly.
I think
Some pine trees I've met are feminine.
I think some of the some of it has been so much deep symbolism with trees. Like just a couple things that have come to my mind have been like, trees are such a good example to us as a human in so many ways, because trees are completely dependent on something greater than itself to survive. And so are we. Trees need
They don't
light.
have an ego with it. Go on.
For trees, like you were saying, for trees to survive, they need light.
Yeah.
So do we.
Yeah.
No man can live by bread alone. Physically, we can. Spiritually, we can't. Trees are always still. Such a beautiful example of stillness. Many of the things that we've been talking about today.
Unless something moves them.
so to back up just a little bit, when we talked about if we're feeling emotions or if we're in a trigger, and you can go outside. And this has been a practice that when I first started stepping into nature and using nature to help ground and to help calm my breath, calm my spirit, right? Especially when you have no one around. You don't have, you got to figure this out on your own. And I'm sure you use this in your yoga practice. Like when you go outside and you envision yourself as a tree and you're standing there and you are dissociated and you don't know what's going on and your mind is spinning. And you stand in that grass and you stand with your feet. And so many times I have asked to help and visualize back to the imagination, the visualization to grow roots. And I can imagine myself and roots coming out of my feet, and I get stronger and I get a little bit more in my body, and I'm not in, the fetal position, or, I can go from very fragile to very grounded and strong if I can stand in my own power. But I have to mimic a tree to ground myself, to root myself. Because sometimes just standing in the grass isn't enough. Walking around, stomping. No,
So
you got to
beautiful.
root into the ground, root back into your body to be able to come back to the present moment, to realize that wherever that trigger took you, wherever that trauma took you, was all an illusion. And we're okay. We're here. And we've become a tree.
I can tell that's happened for you a bunch.
Many times.
That's
I have been a tree.
Thanks for sharing that.
Another homework assignment, grow roots. It's a beautiful practice.
When you're saying that, what else is cool is there's many trees that when they are rooted in the ground, which is every tree to some degree, and the winds come, these tumultuous winds come, they channel, I don't know the exact science behind it, but they're able to somehow channel what's within them to grow stronger roots. And so the wind starts blowing them, and they get stronger and stronger, more deeply rooted. Wow. That is the goal of all of our lives and what we're trying to do. We can't control the wind. I'm sure these trees don't like it, but they don't just give up. They channel what they need to. And for us, that's really symbolic of feeling pain when it comes up for us, and not look what we talked about last time. Am I going towards pain? Am I going towards my emotions, or am I going away from it? That if you're honest about that one question, that is the root of almost all emotion, almost all suffering in life.
Well said. And as you speak, I have this visual of this tree and all this external weather coming, and we're just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And right, we think it'll hold tight. And sometimes, at least in my life, it's like, wait a minute, how do I let go? How do I not hold on to these leaves? How do I just let them fall? Scary as all get out. And you have to let go, because that is the cycle. And you want to hold on to every last leaf, and you don't want it. And it's like, it's so interesting.
Are they going to grow back?
Right.
Am I going to survive the winter?
And you just to watch those leaves fall and just to go, trust, because it's all part of the bigger picture and the cycle of regrowth.
That's beautiful.
Trees are great teachers. They go through all these different seasons. They can teach us so much about, like, hey, we have a season where we're producing fruit. We have a season where we're changing. Our leaves are changing. We have a season where we're barren and nothing. And we have a season where we just like are flourishing. And then I was reading this children's book once about trees. I wish I remembered what it was. And there was this one tree, and I think it was a pine, and she was just starting to grow, and she couldn't reach the sun because all the other trees around her were too big. And so trees really do this. I read at the end of the book that this is really what trees do. So she sends out little messages from her
100%
roots,
she does.
and she's like, I'm not getting enough sun. Can anyone support me? And trees will come and support. In this children's book, like, a lot of the trees were like, sorry, I don't have anything. But then there's like this one tree, like way down in the forest, right by a spring, tons of light, not covered. And she sends this tiny, tiny, tiny tree, all this nutrient. So then this tiny tree grows tall. Can you tell I have a 2-year-old? And then this other tree over here in the other part of the forest is getting old. And it sends a message back through its little roots, and it's like, I'm kind of struggling. Anybody have anything to give? And then this tall tree that this tree helped originally sends back stuff through the roots to them. Isn't that amazing?
So amazing. Do you know what that root system and that message system is called?
No.
It's called the mycelium.
The mycelium.
So throughout the forest, they all speak to each other through this mycelium.
Oh.
And you take that to humans. We have mycelium.
Oh.
We
So-
can
Wow,
sense
that's cool.
and we can feel who way over there is all alone.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful.
Wow.
And to me, mycelium also looks like the neural networks in our brain. And we have these parts of our brain that have been traumatized
Yeah.
and these other parts that are lighting up. And they're like, wait, what's over here? It's dark. It's not lighting up.
Yeah.
You can really heal and light those parts of your brains back up.
Yeah.
Who are you?
I don't know.
No, that's so amazing. It goes back. It reminds me of what we were talking about earlier, how spirituality on a longer term basis is never meant to be a isolated practice. It's yes, like that's the core of it, is having personal connection, but developing our own mycelium community,
Right.
and
And when you're tapped in, you can sense when other people are tapped in. I love that story. Thank you.
And that's
Ellie. I didn't
okay.
mean
If
to-
like some of the other trees were like, sorry, I don't have anything to give right now.
That's
This little tree
totally
wasn't
okay.
mad or
Well,
like,
absolutely. I
fine.
honor that tree. That's
Yeah.
like, actually, I got me right now.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
it's so, you guys, we could talk about this symbolism.
I know.
I
Or like
believe-
forest fires and then they're putting off like seedling. It's like amazing. Trees are amazing.
that's what I believe heaven is mycelium.
Oh, don't say that. I'm going to cry. That's beautiful, Corey.
Seriously, that's what it is. And I think about this sometime. I think some people have this deep inside of them where they're like, does it really matter if I'm kind to this person that I'm walking past? Does it really matter if I flip this guy off in traffic and cut him off and whatever? He's going to forget about it in 2 days. Like, does it really matter?
Yes,
Like,
it
these people don't
does.
remember. But if you really, I believe this is the truth and the reality of what it's going to be like when we die. We are going to have, just like the tree is a history of everything it's experienced. The side note, the Japanese word for body is made up of 2 characters. Person is one character, book is the other character. That is the body. We are,
We go back. The Japanese.
the Japanese word for body is made up
Is
of 2 words or characters, person
Person.
and book. Okay.
That's so cute.
So we hold on, our spirit holds on to so when we die, we are not going to be limited by the physical mind. We will have a perfect recollection of everything that we've experienced in our life, every interaction with a human, and how we treated someone and how they treated us. Okay, so, and this is going to be all spirits. Okay. So just imagine this, of like the importance of our purpose is that how special would this be when you die? Your spirit leaves your body. And there's this long line of people that cannot wait to tell you and express their gratitude and love of how you have impacted their life. If you weren't there for me in this moment, if you didn't say this, I don't know if that was okay. So this expression of love, and I think the highlight for me, and as I'm alive physically, is when someone is expressing love and gratitude to me and I know they really mean it. I get emotional. It's so special. And I hope I do that for other people too.
Mhm.
And it's like, that is what heaven is. And it reminds me of this interconnectedness.
Nice.
It never goes away. People think it like, oh, it's such a non-spiritual view of the reality of our existence.
Beautiful visual.
So that's why I can't wait to die. I'm just kidding. I hope there's probably like one person in line and it's like, thanks, dude. No, it's,
We know that's not true.
Yeah,
I think-
you know
Let's
that's not
let's open
true,
up his
too.
appointment book.
I know.
Just today. Let's think. Let's
but
really.
I think there's the last thing I want to say on that is there's also a recognition in that moment that it's not me. It's not me that has impacted all these people. Or you, it's, whoever it is, I'm not talking about myself. But it's not, I haven't done this. I have just acted. I have just tried to be still. And I've tried to say what God has wanted me to say to people. It's his voice. It's the voice of the force. It's the voice of God. It's the voice of Mother Earth. It's the voice of truth that emerges from stillness. When we speak that, we help people. It's not us. We're just the vessel. And so that's why it's not like, oh, how many people did you have in your line when you died? Or how many people did you have in your line? None of that actually matters.
No ego.
It's a commitment to listen and to be open. And it has to start with you. Don't be discouraged if you don't feel like you're benefiting that many people in your life and you're in pain and you are in sorrow and struggling. Like, there's other people, nature, that is wanting to help you to get to a place where you can give more.
You just show up for you.
It
If
has
it's
to
only
start
you,
with you.
That's okay. You're the most important thing. Don't worry about, I'm not showing up for my kids or my spouse or my work. Like, all that's too overwhelming in those moments of just total desperation. And so that's where that self-love that we talked about last time is. You just dig in and just show up for just you. And that's enough.
A tree has to grow its own roots before they get long enough to connect to the system. So it's it's the natural.
Beautiful.
It's the natural flow.
None of the other trees are like, grow your roots faster. I need help.
They're not like, oh my gosh, look at how long this guy's roots are.
Yeah.
He's better than me.
No.
This line of
We need
people.
so
No,
much
none
from
of that.
trees.
Everyone understands. And anyone that's not getting caught up in ego, they understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this a lot with therapists that I've worked with. I changed his life. I've thrown up on the ground before.
Seriously, I'm cringe. Oh, I'm a healer.
You're like,
oh,
are you
like,
sick?
really?
You're like, you're making
Are
me
you,
sick.
buddy?
And this is going back to the whole, what is humility and what is humility? It's a recognition of where this inspiration comes from.
Yes.
Right. And an honoring
Yeah. Honoring it
and holding it sacred.
and holding its boundary, like not like letting people put you on a pedestal. Like, no, this is it's coming from this, not me.
I love that.
Or it's coming
not
from
putting
you.
people on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Whether you're doing that to yourself and putting
Yeah.
yourself on one or allowing others to put you on,
Yeah.
you're going to fall regardless.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
What's
It's a firm
that saying
boundary
about
that has to be
envy?
set.
What's that saying about envy? I can't remember. I'm going to botch it. But
It's a good one.
I've seen this happen for people where, okay, if someone's like really recognizing where their light and truth is coming from, great. What Satan or thoughts will try to do is they'll try to get us to be like, oh my gosh, like, I wish I was more like this person. And that's how he starts to get us to believe that, oh, like they're better, like someone's better than me or someone's worse than me.
Yeah.
It's a con. And so we were talking, I think we were all talking about this. One of our biggest fears that as a family together, us three, like the responsibility we have to like keep each other in check.
Yes.
Because no one's ever out of the woods. This whole thing about ego death, that's not a real thing. I know that there's a lot of spiritual people that swear by, I have had this. Just you saying you've had an ego death means that you don't. And there's great spiritual teachers that I like totally respect that say that. And I'm like,
Okay, but I'm gonna push back a little bit on. I see what you're saying, and I agree. But when you are doing deep spiritual work, and you have a part of you that dies, it's not your whole ego. There's little slivers of you that die that you're not supposed to have anymore.
right.
So to me, these little ego deaths, these micro deaths, are so beautiful.
So beautiful.
Because but I know what you're saying when people come in and they're talking in their ego about their ego death. Like, I get what you're saying.
Because the ego, it manifests itself through thoughts and you call the Satan ego. It's thoughts and those are we can't control those. We can control if they sink in or not. So that's why it can be dangerous sometimes to say that that can be a blind spot where
100%.
we think we're better than ego of anyways, some of this is, I think we're on the same.
I hear what you're saying, but I think there's so many times.
But don't discount these deaths.
Yes, that's to me where the magic is. Like when you are in your lowest. I had a friend that was telling me, saying, I keep having dreams of dying. I'm scared. I have 4 kids. I have a beautiful wife, and I keep waking up that I'm going to die. So I met with my attorney. I'm writing my will. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's pause for a second. And he had this fear. And he's like, yeah, I don't know why I keep feeling this way. I said his name. And I said, okay, what part of you is asking to die? What part of you wants to die? And he was just like, oh, geez. Okay.
That's pretty powerful.
And he's like, yeah, I want this and this, and I want this addiction, and I want that. I said, it is begging you. It is symbolic to let it go. Let it die. And so many times when you have maybe suicide ideation or you're in your lowest of lows, I started asking, okay, when this thought, I just want to die. Okay, what part of me wants to die? And it was such a beautiful shift. Instead of getting so scared about death and real death, let's let it die. Let's let it go.
That's so amazing.
That is amazing.
And the next day he was happy and just felt free and wasn't in this.
That's a silver bullet. That'll work for everyone every time. No, but that's powerful because that's always true, I believe.
Right. So pay attention to those things that are so heavy and that are getting so big and that are asking for so much attention. Like you said, it's their
changing information.
Right.
100%.
Don't misinterpret it as take your life.
Right.
Right? I mean, wow. What part of you wants to die?
Well, and generally speaking, the part of somebody that always wants to die is the part of them that's really, really sad.
So tired.
Because no one ever kills themselves full of hope. They kill themselves because they're hopeless. Also known as deep sadness.
Die by suicide.
Yeah. So it's this, that is why we are talking so much about spirituality. It really does save your life. It's a process to feel connected. But we were talking about this before, how someone that is not interested in spirituality, that has no interest in it, has a really difficult time overcoming sadness and hopelessness. They can't do it, in my bold opinion. You have to be open to spirituality if you want to overcome sadness, because sadness requires hope, and hope is spiritual. The deeper hope is, we were talking about that last time. So,
well, may I?
Please.
So for people that maybe don't, like you talked about, or atheist, or don't have a religious belief, whether you believe Christ actually was a person who came here, lived, taught, and died and was resurrected. Like, that is malarkey. There's no way that could happen. Fine. Put that over here. Let's look at it symbolically.
Right.
Can he be a representation?
View it as a story if you want to.
View it as a story, as suffering, the greatest suffering, dying, dark night, sun coming out, coming back up. And guess what? You do that over and over and over. It's a symbol.
Resurrecting a new self.
Right. Dying, coming back, dying, coming back. It's a story.
Deep symbolism in it.
That's it.
If you don't believe it's real, yeah.
The sun coming up tomorrow morning. It's going to come up. I promise you the sun will come up tomorrow morning.
I want to share one quick story and then let's wrap up, and just we'll wrap up by you giving us your great wisdom about water, which has been on my mind nonstop since you told me. There was this beautiful story of this woman who was living in the woods. This is a true story. And she was living with her dad and her mom, and she was younger, and her dad would get really drunk and just beat the crap out of her and her mom all the time. And the story has always stuck with me. And she was getting older as a teenager, and the abuse was constant her whole life. And she got to a point where she got beat up really bad, and she leaves the cabin, and she was consumed with pain. Like, it just was filling up her whole body. And the only thing she knew she needed to do was just walk as far as she could. And she started walking, and she got to the ocean, and she wanted to die. And she thought about drowning herself. And she decided to sit there and just look at the ocean. And I believe water carries with it, like you've told me, a lot of wisdom and messages. And she's watching the ocean. She's watching the waves come in and go out, and come in and go out. And a message from the stillness of what she was doing, from her pain, said, this is not going to be your life. This is not going to last forever. Just like the waves, just like they come in, just like they go out. And that changed her life. That was a huge turning point. So yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's a sacred story to me. I get emotional thinking about it. So let's talk about water. Do you want to give us a couple quick, doesn't have to be quick, I guess, but yeah, as we wrap up, what's been impactful for you about water and what's kind of stuck with you?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is this symbolism of cleansing and washing and being made. I don't know if I like the word clean per se, but just being refreshed, renewed. There are so many times where, I go up into the mountains and sit and obviously have no shoes on in the first place, but I will sit and put my feet in the water, and it's usually freezing cold. And the power of sitting with flowing water with your feet in the water it's just so invigorating. I mean, people that cold plunge, right? It physically resets your body. It helps heal on so many levels. I don't know them, but I just know it's a trend and everyone's doing it, and there's a reason. There's a science behind it.
Love you so much.
Right? But there's a science behind
I've
that.
done it. I've done it many times. It's great.
Right? And have you heard of mammal diving?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
Have you?
No.
So in some trauma therapy, can't remember where it was. It might have been, I can't remember who it was, but I'm going to get this so wrong. I need to do some research before I start sharing these stories. But you go out into the water and mammals dive their head into the water. Like I'm going to get this all wrong. Can you explain it? Do you know what it is? Dane?
I don't know if this is
No,
literal definition. It just says diving mammals will slow their heart rate. Stop their breathing.
That's
Okay, right there. Slow your heart rate, right? You're in this panic. You go in the water, you would think it would be opposite, right? So this
Mammal
this
driving
rushing
for trauma
water
or
has
something.
this ability to slow you down, to still you. So when you're dealing with anxiety and things like that.
Well, this is mammalian diving reflex. MDR is a psychological response that helps mammals conserve oxygen and survive underwater.
Yeah.
but it lowers heart rate. Is
Huge.
the important thing. I think.
Huge for someone who suffered from anxiety. But
Just a quick thought on that. One of the things you can do that actually works, if you're feeling really anxious, and you just exercise is one of the most recommended things right away, or moving your body like we've been talking about. But if you can't do that, get a bucket of ice, get a bowl of ice, like a big cookie bowl of ice, put ice in it, put water in it, and put your face in it. I'm serious, for
No, I know.
30 seconds.
or put ice on the back of your neck.
Really?
And
Game changer.
It does bring down the physiological response of anxiety.
Wow.
You still have to deal with the emotion, guys. But
Yeah,
sorry.
when your little kids come in and they're freaking out and they're in panic or whatever, get some ice, sit with them, love on them, and put some ice on the back of their neck. Like, it's amazing.
Your friend's like, "Where's all the ice?"
right?
And why is your face always wet?
So water obviously has beautiful symbolism about flow and things that come in the way and block the flow. And you always, like with chakras and yoga, you always want to make sure your chi is open and flowing. And if you have these blockages, then things have to go around and work a little bit harder. So you have to really to work hard to sense where you have these blockages in your body. But But I was taught that water holds the information.
Oh, this is the stuff.
I wish I would have. Water holds the information of the world,
Everything.
of everything.
Think about it. Water touches everything.
And it doesn't just drop off the earth. It's always been here.
It's always been here
It
because
goes
we're recycling it. It's
crazy.
coming down from the clouds
It's in
into
our body.
right.
It's surrounding
Wow.
surrounding our spirit.
It freezes. The ice age. Think of all the information in the ice age,
Wow.
and then it thaws. Like that's where the records are. That's where you want to talk about something that's witnessed from the time of
It's unbelievable.
whenever.
Wow. You're right.
I remember you telling me this a few weeks ago, I think. And I was like, a part of me knew it was true right away. It just made sense.
Yeah.
But I went to the river and I was, I don't know if this is just me, but water always wants you to touch it, is my experience. It's like, if I'm still at the water, this message is like, just, Corey, it's literally cold, but just put your finger in. Because it wants to gather information.
Wants to connect.
It does.
It
It wants to gather.
So
It's
cute.
adding to this great pool of wisdom and information. And I saw these, it was really beautiful. I saw these little leaves that were the river was taking these leaves, and the leaves were just like rotating under the water. And I was in a really still space. And the words that came from that were, we carry more than just leaves. And it was like, and so it's powerful. We are made up of it. We just peed some of it out on our break. And it's such a beautiful, I think that is so beautiful.
And we die without it. It's the first thing.
Yeah.
It's the first thing.
Well, it's cool in the Christian vein that water is a cleansing, it's a renewal. But I think, so I'll just share this briefly. One of my favorite stories is when Christ goes and visits the woman at the well. And she says to him, why are you, a Jew, coming to visit me who am a Samaritan, thanks. And he said, if you knew, and so Christ is sitting there and she's going to get water from the well. And he says, give me to drink. And she says, why are you asking me to drink when you're a Jew? And the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. And he said, I think this is powerful. He said, if you knew who was asking you for a drink, you would ask him for a drink and he would give you living water. And her humble response of like, well, you don't have anything to draw with, though the well is deep. How are you going to, where are you going to get this living water? And he said, whosoever shall drink of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. And so he was talking about what we're talking about. I believe he was talking about himself, but he was talking about truth and information, and not just information, but truth. Like, this is what our spirit needs. And if we are continuing to seek that truth, then we will never thirst. Body needs water, spirit needs water. And nature is water. The trees are full of water. When winter
Right.
comes, what do? They move they take all the water out of their branches and then they put it in their trunk. Because if they don't, their branches will freeze and the tree will die. So water. Awesome.
And on that note,
Ellie, do you want to wrap us up? Any final thoughts?
no,
Okay.
this was special.
Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste to both of you.
Absolutely. You guys are the best.
If you have benefited from this podcast in any way, it would mean the world to us to have you subscribe, to allow us to keep it going and bring on inspirational human beings.